Hey folks, this is Ben Yessel. I know you haven't seen my amazing face for a while, my videos. So, yeah. Anyway, um, how's it going? Um, just driving on 405 on the east side, east of Seattle, like Bellevue area. Just now, this is Monday, I don't know, June 13th, I think, 2022. Um, this is what happened. When I got Mind you, when I got more on 405, because the only thing that happened before that, coming from Tacoma, the only thing that happened before that on I-5 was in Tacoma, and some truck driver was a little bit impatient with me, but that was not a big thing. So, I prefer to keep about a, like a, what is it, for every 10 miles an hour you're driving, you count a second between yourself and the car in front of you. So if you're going 60 miles an hour, you need to count 6 seconds between yourself and the next car in front of you. Or at least when you see a land some kind of place that car passes, and you need to get to that point 6 seconds, 6 seconds, at least 6 seconds after they pass that point. Um, that's the way I am. And if it's 50 miles an hour, it's 5 seconds. And a lot of times I think I haven't been quite as um, fastidious about that because, well, we're seeing a lot of that less and less anyway. But I was going to mention how the percentage of drivers that are doing that, just an I-5 and I-405, and everywhere else I've been in for a while, it's probably only one out of every, oh, I'd say 100, maybe one out of every 50 drivers. Nobody's counting that much. That nobody's leaving that much room between themselves and the next driver. And the reason why you want to do that is because if there is a situation where somebody in front of you slams their brakes really fast, you need that much time to react and slow down as well if you're going that fast. You do. And of course we have traffic accidents every single day in Puget Sound. I wonder how many of those accidents wouldn't happen if people left more room between themselves and the next car. But everybody seems to keep doing that same thing, and it costs them and others, I don't know how many thousands of dollars. Um, anyway, you can talk about insurance all you want to, but no, you can leave me out of that whole equation. But when people tailgate me and they act really irritable and impatient, um, like they're getting road rage for no reason, and I can't get to another lane, or I just don't want to get to another lane. Um, it's frustrating. Um, anyway, so I had an incident where I was going about 60 on a 405, and there is no there is no rule. There's nothing legal that says that you have to go 65 or 70 or 75 or 80 or whatever in the fast lane. And it was getting to the stop and go traffic time period, and so I didn't want to go 75, and the other lanes were free. The person behind me could have taken a different lane and just gone ahead, and I wasn't going to be that fast lane for very long anyway. I had to get over anyway. But there's too many cars swerving left and right, changing lanes, so I didn't want to risk it. And so the person behind me was kind of like shooing me like this. So just because I did not like that attitude that she had, I didn't move. But I was going the speed limit. I was going at least the speed limit, if not a little faster. Um, and then this particular person, who had tinted windows, of course, decided it would be a good idea to go in the carpool lane, even though she had tinted windows, but she didn't have tinted windows enough. I knew that there was nobody else in the car. There's nobody else in the front seat, nobody else in the back seat. It was just this lady. So yeah, she was breaking the law. She broke the law. And you know, how many times did that happen? I don't know how many times it happens in Washington, Puget Sound. It cannot be the status quo. It cannot be the status quo. And this is also a time when I guess the police are really in a tough bind, because some people seem to think that we need fewer numbers of police, fewer numbers of cops. We need less policing. Why the devil would we want that? Who thought that would be a good idea? Who in their right minds thinks it's a good idea to have fewer cops? unless you have a bunch of cops that are just not doing their jobs. They're just sitting around eating donuts all day. Who does? The cops, they would get fired if they did that stuff. So we got road rage, and it's in the papers. It's everywhere. It's on YouTube. You guys, this is not really very shocking news. It shouldn't be out of the ordinary, but it's just my experience driving from my parents' house to the east side today, and yeah, and I could have got all hot and bothered. Could have chased her down. What's the point? And she's gonna probably do the same thing to another person or other people until she either gets in a car crash, or she gets a fight, or she gets arrested. Was she? But the funny thing about this is that she wasn't even nearly the worst of the worst. When it was a few days ago, when I was just visiting my parents, driving into South Tacoma, and for some reason there was I would say some kind of, not really a car chase, but it was like, apparently this black guy was pursuing this white woman. I'm assuming it was probably amorous reasons, but the problem with this is that he was going probably about 90 miles an hour down 56th, and she didn't want to have anything to do with him. She was like ignoring him, but she was trying to drive away from him, and he kept pursuing. So then he I guess pulled off a different side street, stopped pursuing her. But the problem with this, the main problem, is of course how fast. Actually, they were both going, but I can understand why she was doing whatever she was doing. But I don't know. The funny thing is about this is that you see this happening a lot. This is nothing new. This happens to a lot of people. But it's a question of how many cars were on that road that day and what could have happened. When I see somebody going 90 miles an hour, or they're about 80, 90 miles an hour, really, really fast, far faster than everybody else. And there was railroad tracks that they were just flew over. It's an area with sidewalks and pedestrians. I mean, you're talking about something that's potentially fatal. A fatal car crash, a fatal manslaughter, or whatever it is, That's what bothers me mostly. I don't think that this guy was gonna like rape her. It's nothing like that. It was just, anyway. It was, how could I know? Anyway, so on the way home and on the way back to the upper northern King and South Snohomish areas, I've seen quite a bit of road issues already. Drivers are driving more aggressively. What that means is it's going to be more dangerous to drive anywhere, especially main roads. It's going to mean that, and I guess that the reason why this is happening is it has some kind of law that's passed recently that I don't know. So I'm trying to see the logic of why some people would think that less policing is a good thing, and it just is not. There's always a question of what the cops are doing. Are they good cops or bad cops? That's a little bit different issue, but It's related. But if you see, if you have a lot of bad cops, or if you have a lot of racist cops, or whatever it is, that's one thing. But that doesn't mean the same thing as having far fewer cops out patrolling everything. Because if you have fewer cops, well, that means that we're going to have a much more unsafe world. Because otherwise, if we have fewer cops, then there's more of a need to take care of dangerous situations more on our own. So who thought that would be a good idea? So you just have a bunch of citizens. You're probably going to have a lot more like these superhero type guys that actually are involved with real crimes, because they'll justify their actions. Oh, they're trying to help people. They're trying to, there's not enough cops to protect everybody. I'm trying to hold back a lot of frustration with all this stuff. It just, I feel powerless to do anything about this stuff. But when I'm driving, and somebody thinks it's a good idea to get right next to my bumper and start honking and flashing their lights for whatever reason, and I'm not going 20 or 30 miles an hour in a 50 or 60 mile per hour road in the fast lane, I'm going like the speed limit, or maybe even a little faster. But I'm, maybe sometimes not really. I don't know. If you have a 4-lane road, a 4-lane freeway, it's no problem to go around anybody, whoever. It doesn't matter which lane they're in. But if somebody's acting like a jerk on the road, why would we want more? Why would we want more of that? Why would we want more of that? You guys tell me. Why would any Washingtonian want more road rage and more traffic incidents and less cops? Why would we want that? Or we think that having less cops means less brutality toward black people. Okay, maybe. But if the cops don't hurt black people, here and there, someone else is going to do it for them. Who's that? Probably other black people in the inner cities. Yeah. You're not going to find a lot of racial crime, racial motivated crime in Puget Sound. It just, it's, here and there, isolated incidents. Maybe, I don't know, Enumclaw, Eatonville, maybe, I don't know, out toward the mountains. Who knows? But there's all, which black people live out there? Hardly anybody is black. Maybe it's like, whenever you have more concentrations of black folks, they say in Puget Sound, it's always the people around them that's going to try to hurt them. And who's around them? In South Tacoma or South Seattle, it's, we have, stupid, man. Cops, the number of cops have nothing to do with it, with all that stuff. Stupid. It's literally the whole. It's just the definition of idiocy. You think that you'll have fewer acts of gratuitous violence or fewer acts of racism toward from white cops or whichever kind of cops toward black people, like racial profiling. It's ridiculous to think that you'll have less of that if you have fewer cops. You're going to have more issues of violence with fewer cops. You're going to have, and especially, this is the big thing, you're going to have a lot more thefts, robbery, burglary. It happens. I see in my newsfeed almost every single day. Some shop is getting broken into. By who? Well, it's probably going to be inner city folks. We all hate to say who it's going to be, but the reason why you're going to have more robbery, incidents of robbery, that sort of thing, of burglary, because there are fewer cops, patrolling those areas. Because you can't, with inner cities, you can't. If you try to think, how can we help people to rob less or to be more law-abiding? Oh, well, see, the problem is that the inner cities have a whole bunch of problems with them. And, the solutions are always multifaceted, but it's always families, the family. How strong are the families? What are the values being taught? Um, do people see um, that if you don't, if you obey the law as the law is just, then it helps everybody else out. It makes the whole area a better place. If you have those kinds of values that are being taught to uphold the law and to respect cops and things, as cops are also good cops, then you're going to have better areas of the city, better inner cities. But the more that isn't the case, the more that people are taught to not trust cops, or to hate them, or to hurt them, or to especially to rob from anybody that you want to, and you should be able to do that because you're victimized or whatever. You're the victim because you're black, something like that. And if people believe that, things are going to get worse, not better. They're going to get worse in those inner cities. Nobody's going to want to live in the inner cities. Nobody, unless you can't get out. Unless you can't get out. You know. Now, I find it very there should be no disagreement with this. There should be no disagreement. Whenever you have any group of people that thinks that that robbing is a good way to just behave on a regular basis, just go hold up a convenience store. Anybody who thinks that is okay, well, they can live in that world. They can live in those places where shops are getting stolen from, and they can go to those shops and they can buy stuff there. They can be part of that world. I do not want to be part of that world. I don't. But I'm not saying, of course, that I want to never be in an inner city. I'm just saying that those values that create that kind of environment, I don't want to have anything to do with that crap. No, and I should also add this too. It should be extremely, extremely common knowledge. This should be common knowledge for everybody. Um, and of course, one of the most angering things, if I was a black person, one of the most angering things for anybody who's black to come across is an assumption that because they're black, that they would support, any of those kinds of behaviors, whether it's increased road rage or more, acts of robbery and burglary or any of that thuggish stuff. And so, yeah, it makes complete sense to me why a lot of black folks get really angry about this stuff, about not only people assuming that they think that way because they're black, but also, it's a multifaceted thing. But again, everything I'm saying, there's nothing new I'm talking about. There's nothing. This is not earth-shattering stuff. But it still deserves to be said. And so for the pea brains who think that fewer cops is going to be better, just if you're gonna, I don't know. We can talk about budgeting later. Leave me thoughts and comments below. Catch you guys later. Take care. Bye.